So hi, we're Forest Gray. My name is Jason Wang.
My name is Alex Weck.
I'm Shamikh Hossain.
And we are Forest Gray. We're an initiative dedicated to integrating animal habitats and homes, not only into the green spaces in cities, but also into the unused gray spaces that dominate the urban landscape. So the problem is essentially that, of course, due to the exponential increase in populations throughout the world, there's a huge amount of urban centers being built. A lot of countries are urbanizing as we speak, and there's just a lot of natural habitats being destroyed in order to create these urban areas. So we have a lot of these evicted animals and destroyed ecosystems, and of course this has already happened for decades. If you look at Los Angeles, my hometown, when you fly in, it's from horizon to horizon. It's just the sea of lights, and there's no green space there whatsoever. It's just the sprawling metropolis. And so that amount of space being taken up, entire ecosystems destroyed by the urban sprawl, we can use a lot of that area for better instead of just feeding our needs. So, no, go back. So humans are building the equivalent of a city the size of Vancouver every week. That's a statistic from the Nature Conservancy. And they also say that in Eastern Asia, the average distance from a city to a protected area will be 14 miles by 2030 as compared to 27 miles in 1995. So we can see that there's this huge increase, rapid expansion of the human population of the world. And we are really just rolling over all these natural habitats.
So as a solution to this, what we really need is a way for cities to really integrate with the natural community and with surrounding fauna and animals and birds and all of that to properly integrate with the city ecosystem. So our solution is packaged in a new initiative called Forest Gray, where we basically try to build this online community that extends into the real world through people with their own implementing these little projects that are hosted all in this one package called Forest Gray. And we want to borrow from Walt Disney by using the 3 C's. So the first one, basically the most core element of our entire project, is the care. We need people that will put forth the initiative to give space that they have maybe in their balconies, in their backyards, to these wild animals and to these birds. And we need people to also take part in perhaps DIY projects. And we need people that are willing to learn and willing to try to build a sustainable way to basically integrate surrounding wildlife into their own city ecosystem. And secondly, we need consistency. We need both not only numbers, but we also need duration. We can't have people that give up on these projects in just a few weeks. And lastly, we need a community. We make an online platform where these people can come together and collaborate and contribute and provide commentary on different solutions, DIY solutions for different sort of settings for wildlife and animals. And so some of these elements are a blog for users to talk about their own projects, video sharing for them to share and spread awareness. And we want to package this as sort of an environmental propaganda system where we have people are having their own daily interactions with wildlife and they increase their own compassion. And then they can go online and increase the compassion of other people by sharing their experiences, sharing videos, sharing pictures. And so tangibly in the real world, this builds rooftop apiaries, flower gardens, etc., with unused space. And then also bird nests and overhangs so that birds can have places to be inside the city. And then even a solution for bees, as we know the bee population is heavily being detrimented. And so all of these together. So do I talk about the studies too? Yeah. Okay, so we built a small web app where we are having the front platform for this sort of online community that we would like. So this is a fully functional web app with built-in Python and Flask, where we're basically providing an online community for people that want to do these little DIY projects, and also for us to build our own and show these designs to other people. So our philosophy is that it's entirely open source, open data initiative where we show these designs And Alex over here actually built some designs, which we can show in the next slide.
So this is what our first prototype of an idea looks like. It has hooks on the back, so it essentially would hook onto the guardrail of an existing city building. It also has a gravel bed. It's designed for a peregrine falcon, and the whole thing should be constructed for $25 or less. It's essentially just a plywood box with a very smooth gravel for the eggs, because they are kind of sensitive, but there's also drainage holes in the bottom. The roof is slanted, so it's very good circulation of water. And it has an overhang for the peregrine falcons because they like to hang out on ledges and just perch there.
So it's this sort of kind of open data initiative that we want to provide with this website, where people can register with their own information and then go on, and wildlife experts and different people can come in and kind of give advice for what sort of platform, what sort of tangible product is best for different sort of species, as Alex mentioned, with specifics for the peregrine falcon. So there's a sign-up interface, and then users can sign in and basically post their own, and also give their own interactions every day with videos and tweets and stuff like that.
So as for who's going to profit and who's going to pay for these types of projects, it's essentially initiative-based. So like Shamikh said, we are trying to essentially encourage the community to help us out on our quest to make these gray spaces more livable for animals. And so when we add these little additions to buildings, we can also encourage new architects to incorporate these kinds of spaces into their own buildings, and that increases their score for like their LEED certification. So if you have a higher score, it becomes valued at more, essentially. And so yeah, that would increase the incentive for people to utilize these types of additions to the buildings and follow forest gray. It also incentivizes companies to use these buildings because it's essentially public relations. If you are helping basically stay inside a building that is helping out animals and it's green and it's beneficial to nature, then it increases like essentially your public relations and how people view your company, which is very beneficial for the company, of course. We can have tickets, for instance, for people to bird watch on roofs or to tour like these rooftop gardens and see these birds up close. And of course, when we have our blogs for people to share their stories, if we have people who spend a lot of time on it and they have like a professional site on the blog, we can ask for maybe small commissions and payments for those types of posts.
So we don't just have a vision for the present, but also for the future and where we want to go with this idea. One thought we had would be like to integrate artificial intelligence and machine learning to identify specific birds. So let's say somebody takes a picture of this peregrine falcon. They don't know what bird it is, but the idea is the app itself would identify the bird for them, give them like cool information and facts about the species of bird, even about the specific bird that you're looking at, based on location of that bird and where its nest is. You could also put blogs about specific wildlife, like birds of New York, and of course, like videos of the nest, like live cams. That's been very popular with like eagle nests and sunning rocks for sea lions. And of course, like a Skyview-like mapping system. So you could actually look up and it would tell you where the nests are, almost like a virtual reality set. So you could easily identify where the birds are and where the nests are. And of course, construction of like new dedicated spaces for these animals to live. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Team 5. Thanks, guys. Any questions really quickly? All right, Sam.
Just to backtrack a little bit,
Sam, microphone. Oh. Thanks.
Check a little bit. So your product is essentially an online community, but you're also talking about building spaces. So you are giving people access to projects that they can do in their own communities. Is that what you're doing, just to clarify?
Essentially, yes. So as an organization, Forest Gray also would be developing our own solutions. We'd be prototyping certain projects and trying to implement them. But of course, crowdsourcing these sorts of projects, it makes it much more efficient. So if you open it up to a passionate online community that can help you out with these sorts of projects, it allows your reach to expand to places that you as just one company can't reach. And so that's sort of our goal. It's a supplement of this community to our own mission. And I think you had a question. Yeah.
A lot of recent research which shows that birds are not really coming near cities because of cell phone towers and TV towers and other things. So basically, there was a research that 1.2 million birds are not coming near cities because of the EMF frequency which is emitted from cities, which is disturbing their migration cycle. And that's the reason they are entering cities. Your project, on what scale it actually help the migratory birds?
Okay, so essentially the entire purpose of the online community is to have kind of like this like live database on the cloud. So if users are like collaborating and then building these projects and then in real life seeing that they're not actually being used by any sort of wildlife, that forms like an online, that basically they can report that online and show that, hey, these are the statistics for where I am, and I'm seeing that there's no birds showing up here. And so the online community can know about this, and this can sort of create, right now the website and the platform is working, but it's very, very limited. We have a really big dream for this website where it has lots of different types of functionality. So first of all, right now it's kind of like a platform where people can like kind of like graphic design work, show off their DIY products, but it can be things like what you're talking about, where people can report these sort of things and be like, this is what it's like where I am, but there's no birds showing up, so we have to figure out why. And then online community wildlife experts can come in and say, these are the sorts of things that are happening in your area, and you have this sort of noise pollution, you have this sort of light pollution, this is why these birds aren't coming to your area. So it can be like a live map, and that's actually very important. A lot of wildlife is not actually being integrated into the city ecosystem, and these are the reasons why. So that's important to understand, and that's what our web app is targeting.